Hi, and welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm using the Geared Up Garage bundle today to make this card. We're going to add some washi tape for some detail to that card as well. If you're here visiting from YouTube, you'll find a link down in the description of this video below, which will navigate you over to the pictures and the cutting dimensions for today's project. While you're there, I would absolutely love to have you sign up for my free e-newsletter. Each week, I'll send you a free tutorial that includes pictures and cutting dimensions along with a supply list. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I sure would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and make sure you click that bell icon. That will give you notifications when I'm live here on YouTube as well as when I upload a new video. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card.
You can get a good look at the card we're going to create now. There's silver metallic thread here behind the back, and just to give you an alternative idea, I'm going to create it today without the thread, but of course this can obviously be added. I'm going to be using the small grid paper. This is 7 inches by 7 inches, was designed for the Stamparatus, but I absolutely love it for my work surface here in my stamp room because it allows me to move it in and out of the way very easily. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here that I'm going to do my stamping on, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to be using the Geared Up Garage bundle. So it's the stamp set and the coordinating framelets. You're going to see that the framelets die cut all the images that are in here. In addition to that, there's some absolutely wonderful gears, as well as this large background one here on the opposite side. You'll find the Geared Up Garage stamp set here in the Occasions catalog. If you don't already have a current Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be more than happy to send you a complimentary copy. Just leave me a comment below. I'll also be happy to include the annual catalog and the current sale brochure. The products in this brochure are free with any $50 product purchase, and there's even a couple choices with a $100 order if you have a larger wish list. I'll be using my smoky slate ink pad, and I've mounted the image of that grunge look. This would look great, of course, just as the background we're using here, but it also would look wonderful behind the exhaust of this car. So I'm going to slide this over. I'm going to ink up my ink pad, but I'm going to stamp off one layer of ink on my grid paper. I want it to be a little bit lighter, and then I'm going to add a little bit of color down here at the bottom. You're going to notice too that I'm not re-inking every time that I stamp. That's going to give me some variation in color. I'll slide that off to the side, and I'm going to bring in a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends, so I'll need to use the Memento ink for that. This is a water-based ink, which will allow the alcohol markers of the Stampin' Blends not to bleed. And I'm going ahead and I've mounted the image of the car, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and I'll stamp that here. Make sure your work surface is protected before you use your Stampin' Blends. I'm not going to do any shading on this. The artist drawing on here provides a lot of texture for this project, so I don't need to blend if I don't choose to. The Stampin' Blends are dual-ended. The thin line is going to indicate the chiseled or the fine tip side of the marker, and the thick line, of course, indicates the brush tip. Most of the time I end up using the smaller tip so I can control it, unless, of course, I'm going to cover a larger area. Love that those caps lock on so you don't have to worry about any evaporation of the marker. And I'll go ahead and color in the car body itself with the dark real red Stampin' Blends. I'm going to switch now over to the light smoky slate. Again, I'm going to use that chisel tip. I'm going to add a little bit of color here inside the grille around the headlights. I'm going to go over those headlights just a little bit. I'm going to use my color lifter to remove some of the color around the headlights. I want them to look muted, but I want there to be a little bit of color so that they're not stark white. As that alcohol is evaporating, it's going to process the ink. You're going to see it start to get lighter. I'm going to do the same thing inside the wheel wells, working from the inside, pushing that color out. I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut the car. I've got my Big Shot die cutting machine here with the magnetic platform. I'm just a big fan of this because it helps hold those dies in place. I'll place one of the clear mats on the bottom to protect it, and I've got my car here, and I'll go ahead and just line this up, and then I'll place another clear mat over the top to protect the die, and we'll just crank that through. I'm back here at the base of my card, and I'm going to add some washi tape for some visual interest. This is the Pick a Pattern washi tape, and you'll find it in the annual catalog. It does come with 5 different patterns. Once I open the packaging, I like to put it on one of these large rings just to keep the color coordinates together, and I do this with all of my washi tape, so that's just a tip for you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off some tape. I'm going to visually measure about how much I'll need. and then I'll just rip it. And then I'll place this on my card base, and I'll take the excess and I'm going to tuck it to the back side. And I'm going to do one more row. This one's going to be a little bit shorter, and I'll place that down here, and I'll wrap that to the back side as well. Now I'm ready to mount my car. I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to use dimensionals. This is a sign of a good cardstock. The thick Whisper White cardstock you're going to find is a lot better to color on than the regular Whisper White cardstock. I find that the color goes on smoother and it provides a better appearance. The color should bleed through the back side, which indicates that the Stampin' Blends has penetrated the paper very well. And then I'm going to mount my car right here on my washi tape. I've got my memento pad again, and this time I'm going to use the words "all geared up to celebrate." Be great for a birthday card or a graduation card for a young man, of course, even for retirement. And I'm going to stamp that up here near the top. I've cut a small layer of real red cardstock to bring out the color of that card. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. This is going to help keep my work surface nice and sticky free. Adhesive will not stick to it, which makes it a really beloved tool here in the Stamp Studio. If I happen to get adhesive on it, I simply just rub it right off. It works well for hot glue and liquid glue, and this is going to leave a small margin of red all the way around. I've cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This measures 4 1/4 by 11. I did score it in half right before you joined me. And I'll use my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. You can choose to mount this layer on dimensionals if you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and just use adhesive. And that'll get mounted here to the card base. Again, I'm looking to leave a small border of the white all the way around, and I will rub from the back. I typically have ink on my hands, so I don't want to transfer that to the front of my card. So here's the one we created together. This one does not have the metallic thread, and this one does. Which one do you like better? Go ahead and leave me a comment below. If you're here visiting from YouTube, I would love it if you would subscribe. Click the subscribe button below and make sure you click the bell icon that's next to it. That will give you notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload new videos. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.